Welcome everyone to our live stream. And before we get started, I want to wish everybody happy Labor Day. And when we're done with this, I'll definitely be out by the grill. My wife and my mom have put me to work so we can celebrate Labor Day the right way. We're here with Carrie and Adam. Carrie, as you know, is the Homestead How host on his YouTube channel, while Adam is with Carnivore Today. And we're excited to join you as we are here to spread the message that the Healing Humanity documentary is nearing completion. So we're really excited. It's been a couple of years, I think, that they've been working on it. And I'm especially excited because we're going to share that trailer. Now, some of you may have seen the trailer. Some of you haven't. So I want to make sure we get that trailer in front of you. It'll be the second trailer that we have put into the world. And for fun, I thought it would be fun that we also share our top 10 reasons why we need a carnivore documentary. Now, many of you in this community already know, but we're going to make sure that we share that. And I want to start by showing some gratitude. I'm a big gratitude guy, and I want to just show gratitude first to Carrie, the creative force behind the documentary, for allowing me to participate. And I just spent some time with Adam. We were at a meetup in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I had a chance to take a picture with him and shake his hand in person again. And I just want to thank him for his great camera work. I've seen some of the work he's done, and just having you guys partner together is amazing, because when you spend that much energy and effort to make a documentary, it's really about, getting a message out that is not just about the people in it and who are creating it. It's about this grassroots effort. So for everybody that's checking us out today, you're part of the grassroots effort. And so this documentary, guys, is about the healing potential of the carnivore diet and the animal-based diet. And for me personally, if you were to ask me, well, why do you care so much about getting this message out? Because I needed permission, just like the Dr. Berries and Dr. Chafees of the world, who gave me permission to try this because they were doing it. I want people to have permission without fear, without stigma, and without judgment to get in front of a diet that may help them heal. But if they are only hearing from people who don't tell them that message, and they're only watching documentaries about the blue zones and which suggests it's plant-based, that's going to keep people from healing. And as a person who was plant-based for 8 years prior to my last 12 to 13 years, where I went from low carb, keto, and carnivore, I want people to have a choice. So rather you are animal-based or plant-based, I think we live in a free country, and a free country gives people choice. Now, before we get started, I want to say something to you who are watching us today. As the audience, I want you to, spend some time in that chat, share some of your thoughts about what we're talking about. And if it's the replay and you're checking us out for the replay, make sure you check that out. Give us some thoughts, share, get this momentum going, because again, it's grassroots, and the more you comment and interact, the better we will do. So let's talk also about this idea of why we're still asking for support. If you think about it, and I think I'll let Carrie speak to this in a little bit, there's a lot of marketing that's going to be necessary. There's a lot of need for support. So as you can see, we're all kind of sporting the Healing Humanity shirt. This is merch. So sometimes you make a financial donation, and sometimes you purchase things for your friends and family. So please make sure you do that. Make sure you share this live stream. Make sure you subscribe to those channels, Healing Humanity, the YouTube channel for that, Homestead How, Carnivore Today, my channel. If you're not on my channel as we speak, make sure you do that. So I'm going to stop there and start with introducing my wonderful co-hosts, and that would be Carrie and Adam. So do me a favor, guys, just briefly introduce yourselves so we can kind of get this party started.
Absolutely. And huge thank you, Dr. Hampton. And the gratitude goes both ways. You were the first doctor we filmed for the documentary, and you set a high bar. And I've stole one of your quotes because I absolutely love it, where you said in the documentary, I want to live in a world where doctors are treating the root cause of the problem. And that is the big message. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. In terms of my introduction, I've been carnivore. I'm approaching 900 days carnivore. Around day 60, I decided I wanted to do this documentary. And since then, been traveling all around the world with Adam, filming this. We filmed 60 interviews all over the planet, and just it never ceases to amaze me the healing that we've witnessed filming this documentary. It's just been incredible what happens when you fix your metabolic health. It's been amazing. So it's been a heck of a journey.
Yeah, well, it is, and I am, again, shocked and amazed. I'm glad you're still married, that you spend so much time traveling, and I appreciate your wife. Shout out to her and your beautiful kids, as well. And by the way, when we were at the meetup in Kalamazoo, we were graciously allowed to see some of your daughter's product. Emma and your other daughter, they definitely put some on our hands, and we had a chance. And it smelled, it was great. I mean, it was some great tallow based skin creams and things like that. And so I'm just really proud of them that they've been inspired to help people understand that, yeah, beef tallow is actually a good thing. So, Adam, what would you like to say?
Yes, thank you so much, Tony, for joining us today. Like Carrie said, you were the first doctor that we interviewed, and I must say, I was a little starstruck, just because of the respect that I have for you doctors that are pushing this message, not necessarily pushing it, but spreading this message that's so important to society in general. And I've been around very high-profile people with my line of work, and I've never really been nervous around those folks. So, yeah, for those that don't know or have not met Dr. Hampton, he's a super high quality individual. Love this man to death, and it was just a really awesome experience. Just hearing your words, and it cuts like a knife through all the noise out there. And I can't wait until we actually are able to show the rest of the footage that we captured from you in the movie. So like Gary, I've had amazing transformation of my health that inspired me to join forces with this guy that, like Robin said, was jumping on top of pergolas and doing all this crazy stuff on his homestead. So yeah, and here we are. We've been around the world, and we're back now and getting closer to the final completion of the film.
Yeah, it's just, for me personally, we have a lot of different personalities in the low carb keto and carnivore community. And all I ask is for authenticity, empathy, passion. And what I like about you guys is that you bring what I feel is authenticity. So, and I felt that from the very beginning. So I try to bring that. I hope that everybody else out there, we're only trying to help people heal. That's it. There's no agenda. There's nothing else. So, and if we heal people, and as I've gotten older, I've learned that being a person who gives, it returns right back to you anyway. So even if you say it's for selfish reasons, I'm just trying to get some more love in return. So I'm going to always be authentic. I'm always going to speak my truth. I'm always going to respect the person on the other side, whether we're talking about politics or we're talking about dietary patterns, because you have to choose the path that works for you. So I want to, before we have fun with like the top 10 reasons we should have a carnivore documentary, maybe even show the trailer, I want to have a conversation with you guys about a few topics related to the documentary, especially for the people who have not, had a chance to learn about this. So I kind of teed up this idea of, why do we need to have the documentary? So I'm curious from both of you guys, for you personally, what would you say is the reason? For me, it's about giving people permission to eat what's going to help them heal. My mom would never, I'll see my mom later today as I'm making those ribs. My mom would never think it's okay to be a carnivore, but she sees her son healing. She sees her son not worried about where the bathroom is. When I was at that meetup, Adam, I said, hey, I wasn't that concerned about where the bathroom is because my stomach is happy. And I just loved not having to worry about that. So for you guys, maybe we'll start with you, Adam. Why do you think this is so necessary to make this documentary?
Wow, personally, not from a project level, personally, I feel like it's so important to give people their power back,
Mhm.
to not rely on institutions to tell them how to eat and how to heal. I believe that it's very intuitive. Humans are intuitive, right? We know what's good for us, we know what isn't, but we're constantly being told you should eat this way, you should eat that way. We're being marketed to by these large corporations that this is healthy, heart healthy. This is good for you, and this isn't. So for me personally, it's important that people, like Carrie states, be the captain of their own ship and be in control of their lives, and essentially cut out all of the noise that's out there and reclaim their health.
That's right. And sometimes, guys, that noise doesn't just come from friends and family. It comes from the doctor. It comes from the pharmacist. It comes from the nutrition professional. And I always tell people, when you're getting advice, look at who's in front of you. I know you guys have had amazing transformation. So if I was looking for advice on weight loss, I probably would look at people like yourself who I've seen your before and after pictures. I don't recognize those people from the past. and so if I see a nutrition professional who's struggling themselves, then I'm not sure I could trust that person. But more importantly, they're there to help coach and guide you. They're there to support you. They're not there to tell you what to do, but to create a path and maybe some options. So I just think that people, again, going back to what I said, we need to be given freedom to do what's best for us. And then we have to work with people who are willing to be open to those different options. So what about you, Carrie? What's your why for this documentary?
Yeah. Well, my initial why was just the incredible healing and hope I saw from eating a proper human diet for mental health, depression, anxiety. That was the biggest issue I suffered with. And when I started doing this and started interviewing people and learning, so many people overcoming just some of the worst suffering in the world with hopeless depression. And like me, many of them tried everything. They tried all the medications and nothing else worked until they found this. That was one of the things that was most powerful for me. And really the reason I wanted to start doing this documentary. And then as I started interviewing more people, just seeing how many people were healing and then changing my perspective, looking around in the world, seeing how many people are walking around sick or a shadow of the person they could be, fatigued, inflamed, things like that. Uh, that's what really has been driving me, I guess, going forward. Is there's a lot of people don't even realize they could be feeling so much better than they are, and it's like I said earlier, it's just been amazing. We've done 60 interviews for this documentary, and it still blows my mind every time. Some of this healing is unbelievable, but then you see it over and over and over again. And I've said this before, but I can't think of anything else in the world, any other intervention, medication, diet, like you name it, where you see the type of healing we're seeing here. And then the ripple effect, because someone heals, they become an example for their family, and then their whole family's doing it, and it's spreading. So it's just such a powerful thing. And when I see so many people in the world that are hopeless and don't need to be, I know that this is the hope they can have. This is as Dr. Barry said when we interviewed him, this is a real hope, a true hope. This is an actual tool that many people they're oblivious to. So I want to get the word out to all of those people for sure.
And what I found is that a lot of the things that you heal from, you're oblivious to. Like when me and my wife enjoyed a low carb cruise in 2024. I think we're going to do it again in 2026. And one of my table mates had a sheet of paper. The first side was filled completely, and the second page was half filled of diagnoses that he recovered from. And I said, this can't be one person. He said, yes, it is. And he actually it took him a year or so to fill it out, because he didn't realize that his heartburn got better, because he wasn't doing it for his heartburn, or that his memory got better, that his migraines went away, all of these things, his skin problem. So it's again, it's like putting on glasses for the very first time. You did not know you couldn't see. You did not know that the world was brighter. You didn't know that beautiful robin in the corner, not to go out to shout out to Robin of Carnivorous grandmother. Listen, you didn't know that was a beautiful bird with beautiful colors, because you just couldn't see it. And because you normalized that, you didn't know life could look more beautiful. And that's what's beautiful about this world. And that's why, again, I think we have to get this word out. The other thing that is bold, how dare you suggest that an animal-based diet will heal humanity? That's a bold statement. So when that name came up, what made you decide to go in that direction?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. I love the name because there's many ways to look at it. When you look around in the world and there's billions of people suffering, it's kind of audacious. How are you going to heal billions of people? It's hard to wrap your brain around that. I like to look at it individually. We're not trying to heal billions of people, but just one person. If you just look in the mirror, heal yourself, be an example to your family, you can heal others. The other reason I like the name is because it is something, it's been an unintended, sorry, my dogs are barking there. It's been an unintended learning doing this documentary. We interviewed so many people for various health reasons, but almost every one of them in some way reclaimed their humanity. They all say the same thing. I feel like I'm living for the first time. I feel like I'm 20 years younger. And many of them felt cheated. Like, you mean to tell me I could have felt this way my whole life? And I was just in that fog for so long. So I really love the name if you think about it, because there's multiple meanings depending on how you look at it.
Absolutely. I'm curious, Adam, since you're carrying that big camera, in terms of like, maybe you guys can both respond to this. You know, why did it take so long to make the documentary? I think it's been a couple of years, and when do you guys project it to be finished? Because people are going to be real anxious. Because first of all, shout out to you guys. I've seen a lot of I saw Dr. Ovadia, for example, and you guys did a similar interaction with him where you're kind of, and you guys are putting a lot. I think on one day, I think it was like every other hour you were like talking to somebody. So you guys are putting a lot of energy into this. But in terms of that question, why did it take so long? And then when do you guys project we'll have a finished project?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, one, I would say because we don't know what we're doing. Only kidding. So that's sort of true and not true. We've been studying along the way, taking courses and things like that to improve our skill set. And so, it takes time to film someone. So Carrie initially said, "Hey, we're going to document folks over the course of a year," and so that in and of itself it takes a year to do that process. So, we've done a couple individuals that way. So that's part of the problem. Well, I shouldn't say problem, but that's part of the reason why it's been taking so long. Another reason is we didn't have a lump sum of cash up front. This is all crowdfunded.
Right.
So we would do a little bit of fundraising, do a little bit of filming, and then those funds would be depleted. We have to do some more fundraising, and so on and so forth, and that cycle would continue. So it's just been a learning process along the way, and it's been a great ride so far. And we still have a slog to go. Most films, let's say it's $1 million budget for a film. In the industry, it's typical to have 50% of that to be allocated towards marketing and distribution. So that's in addition to the 1 million. So, just to be able to get this in front of the general public would cost another $500,000 for $1 million film. So.
Yeah, and I think it's another opportunity, as we all look like twins today, to remind people, if you have not contributed to the documentary, maybe this is a good time to do that, even if you're opening up another browser while we're talking. If you have, maybe put in the comments whether you've donated yet. And if you haven't, say, I haven't donated, but I'm going to donate. That'll be a good way to, again, get people engaged and see where you guys are. So you've had some incredible interviews, and I would argue maybe the most incredible ones come from the people who are healing, right, as opposed to the experts, right? So what was one of the most memorable interviews that you guys did?
Yeah, well, it's hard to pick, but for me, it's probably the first one we did, and that's Bill in Alaska.
Yeah,
700 pounds stuck in his house for almost 5 years. he's become a very close friend as well. But we followed him for an entire year, and went back and checked in with him a year later. And to see him, the progress has been incredible. He's almost half the man he used to be. He's just approaching being down 350 pounds,
Mm.
starting at 700. But again, like so much, you'd think that's the story, but then when you go film the documentary, it's a much deeper, more powerful story than that. Overcoming depression was a big part of his story also. So seeing him 1 year later in the beauty of Alaska was incredible. And I'm really excited to share that with folks in the documentary. That's going to be, we're going to check in with Bill in the beginning, and then at the end of the documentary, oh, let's see what's going on with this Bill guy 1 year later. It's going to be pretty remarkable. So that's definitely a standout one for me.
Absolutely. What about you, Adam? Any moments that stood out, or even any moments that were emotional for you?
Oh, that's a great question. So the one that stood out probably the most to me was the juxtaposition to the poor health that a lot of folks found themselves in, which in the person of Maggie. So that was quite a ride going up there and helping her work on the ranch. We thought we were there to film, but we were actually there to try to chase after this 82-year-old lady. And yeah, there you go. The triple biceps
Wow.
definitely makes me jealous
Yeah.
and wondering what I'm doing as a man. Life goals. But yeah, so Maggie is probably one of the ones that sticks in my mind for sure. And the more emotional one would be Tammy Peterson. And when she was sharing her story, it definitely made me emotional to the point where I've shared this before. Holding the camera, tears were falling and getting on the camera, and I thought, oh my goodness, don't mess up this shot. So yeah, that was really, really impactful interview.
Yeah, and it's so inspiring. We literally just celebrated my mom's 80th birthday this week, and although she doesn't have biceps like the beautiful lady you just showed us, what an inspiration. And what's really, I think about Ernestine Shepherd, who's a African American female bodybuilder, if you've ever seen her, and she didn't start doing this stuff, not necessarily to diet. It was more exercise, but she didn't start working out until she was late 60s, early 70s, and now she's a world-class bodybuilder.
Wow.
So for anybody out there who hadn't heard her story, look up Ernestine Shepherd. But more importantly, there's never a time when it's too late. And if you think about it, when we were at that meetup in Kalamazoo, hosted by Robin Heron, most of the people were a little older in the audience. They hadn't given up on themselves, and they were there because they wanted to have a moment where they could, play on the ground with their grandkids or great grandkids, have the energy to play with those kids. And if we can live in a world where we can take our 70, 80, 90-year-olds, and we had a 90-year-old in the audience too, if you remember Adam, if we can give them permission to live again, what would the world be like? Imagine if we're interviewing a 95-year-old, what kind of wisdom would they be able to share with us about their life journey and the world? So I just want to keep people around as long as possible. I'll be happy to turn in my card at the end of my life when it's time, but I don't want to turn it in early. I just don't want to turn it in early. And more importantly, that we talk about lifespan and health span. We want your health span to be as long as your lifespan. And if we can do that for more people, we'll make the world a better place. Because again, if we do that, then many people will live their life purpose, which will then make the world a better place. So anything, just a couple of more quick, just one more quick question, really. Anything unexpected that either of you learned through this process that really caught your attention that you'd like to share?
The biggest unexpected thing I kind of touched on earlier was like really intentionally going to interview each person for a very specific and serious health issue, and then finding that they're almost more excited about just being alive again and feeling like a proper human. That one has been incredible. I guess the other thing I'll say too is the documentary is focused on the individual story, but also the doctor experts such as yourself, Dr. Hampton. You were the first doctor we interviewed. And if I condensed a lot down of what you said and get down to the root of it, what you're advocating for is fixing your metabolic health.
Yes.
And that was a foreign concept to me prior to carnivore. I'm like, I'm worried about cholesterol and heart disease. I didn't even really know what metabolic health was. Then we went on to film 8 additional doctors and experts after we filmed you in different specialties. Dr. Ovadia for heart disease. And I get down to the root of that one and I'm like, he's just talking about fixing your metabolic health. And then Dr. Barry and Dr. Chafee and Professor Thomas Seyfried on the cancer front, metabolic health. So it's like all of these experts are so fired up and so passionate in their unique specialties, but it's all the same thing. You fix your metabolic health for this and it fixes everything. So that was also pretty eye-opening for me. And just the fact that as a layman, like I was oblivious to metabolic health before starting this. And I think most of the population is. You ask most people now and they're still, what about your cholesterol? What about heart disease? And they're fully inflamed and they've got insulin resistance and they don't know what those things even mean. So that was one of the big learnings, I guess, from my side.
Yeah. And I think, Adam, you'll remember during my presentation in Michigan, I was like, listen, if we fix metabolic health, we fix 80%. We get the return on investment. So imagine you're a doctor or a nurse or a pharmacist or any other clinician, and you really went into healthcare to help people heal. You wanted to heal humanity, literally. And there's a way to do that by pulling one lever. And that lever is the metabolic health lever. So what person who dedicated their entire life, and let me tell you, medical school kicked my you-know-what, ... So you make all of this sacrifice, and you then go into a health system that tells you, first of all, we're not even going to tell you what metabolic health is. But more importantly, we're going to only suggest to you that if you manage their diseases well, and you put them on all the medicines. In fact, I'm going to be doing a video probably for Monday on my YouTube channel that's going to talk about the beta blocker metoprolol. And in that video, we just got a study that just came out that said that for women, we're finding for a lot of women, that drug is actually causing more harm than help. And they give it to everybody who's had a heart attack. But now we're finding maybe it wasn't the best decision, particularly for women. So listen, if we focus on achieving metabolic health, blood pressure, blood sugar, triglycerides, HDL, and your belly size, you will prevent 80% of the diseases that have harmed you and your family. So that's the best return on investment we can give you. And thankfully, the carnivore diet is one of the best diets that'll do that. So we'll pause, and I'm going to ask my good friend Carrie to start our little top 10 drum roll, and we're going to start with the top 10 reasons we need a carnivore documentary. And in the chat, as we go through this, if you think of other reasons that touch you, share those reasons with us, because we're just trying to tell the world this is why we need this dietary pattern. So let's go to reason number 10. And I'll let my co-hosts comment as they like. Misrepresentation in plant-based documentary. How many people do you know who became plant-based? And in fact, I have to mention Emma, because when I interviewed Emma on my podcast, Protecting Your Nest, she said to me it was a documentary that led her to want to be plant-based. And she's a caring soul who cares about living creatures. So do I. But what she didn't know at the time, and she probably knows now, is that they cherry-picked the data in many of these documentaries. Many of these documentaries tell you what they think you should hear. For example, the observational blue zones will tell you that Dan Buettner will tell you that it's a plant-based diet. And we already know that every blue zone eats animals. In fact, the animal of choice in many of them is pork. Who knew? That dirty little scavenger. If a pig walks by my house, he has no chance of survival. And I'm a nice guy, but I have to feed my family.
That's right.
So Emma didn't know this. She also didn't know, maybe at the time, observational studies are not going to show causation. And you may not know this, guys, but 90% of the studies that are quoted by plant-based proponents are observational. Only 10% are randomized controlled trials, which means they lean into studies that don't show cause and effect. Where I would argue in the low-carb, keto, and carnivore community, we lean into studies that actually are randomized controlled trials. Find me the best diet for weight loss. It'll probably land at keto, which is a carnivore diet. Find me the best study for diabetes. Duh. Get rid of the stuff that raises your sugar, like the carbs. Duh. And those are randomized controlled trials. We have people like Dr. David Unwin in the UK doing research. Dr. Eric Weston's been doing research. Has Dr. Atkins passed the baton to him since, I think, 2002. We have the Public Health Collaborative showing that the number one diet for weight loss is definitely low carb, is not low fat. And we also, shockingly, have other resources that have shown that this is true. So the exaggerated claims in these plant-based documentaries have to be countered with a quality documentary that will push back. So any thoughts on the first reason, guys?
Yeah, love this reason. It's so important. And so many of those documentaries, you look into them, and as we talked about earlier, it's very expensive to do a documentary, especially one that reaches people like some of those do. And in most of those cases, those are bought and paid for. You look at it and it's sponsored by Beyond Meat or some corporation. There's some sort of bias there. That's another reason our documentary took a little bit longer, is because it's just been crowdfunded. We don't have a company or corporation, but I'm very happy for that, because we're just telling the truth. We don't have any agenda we have to meet because someone's giving us money to say so. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in the way that I see it as well, based on those observational studies with those documentaries, that's almost borderline propaganda. They're playing to people's emotions through morality. And, our documentary, obviously, we want to bring emotion into it as well, to help move people, move the needle, and move them off their seat. So essentially, the difference in ours is we're trying to connect to someone's soul. We're not actually, we're not funded by big pharma and all these other mechanisms. It's all crowdfunded, and I think that's part of the biggest difference between what we're doing and what they do.
And I mentioned authenticity earlier and how important that is for me, and that's why I love you guys. When I did my presentation at the Symposium for Metabolic Health, I talked about how vegans and carnivores can live in harmony. During that presentation, and you can easily find it if you search Dr. Tony Hampton Keto Mojo, because they list all the previous presentations from the Symposium for Metabolic Health. And I came up, well, I shouldn't say I came up, my wife, and you met my wife, Adam, at the event. She came up with a mnemonic to help us remember the blue zones. And Dan Buettner is the person who came up with the blue zones. That's considered observational. He observed the population and made a statement about it. And the mnemonic is, "Oh no, Lord, I've sinned." Just remember that little phrase. O is for Okinawa, Japan. No is for Nicoya, Costa Rica. Beautiful place. We filmed our documentary Reverse Carnivore there. Lord is for Loma Linda, California. The I is for Icuria, Greece. And the S is for Sardinia, Italy. So shout out to Dan Buettner, but we need to stop sinning by telling people misinformation. If you're going to have a belief in a dietary pattern, that's completely okay. I was plant-based for 8 years. What's not okay is to frame your discussion in a way that puts a bias towards something that's not true. There is zero, and I did a video about this, Dr. Tony Hampton on YouTube, Blue Zones. There's zero evidence that all of these places are plant-based. Zero. They all eat animal protein. So to put something out there to misinform people is why we need a documentary. Let's go to the next one. So animal-based diets are underrepresented, right? Because you may see it on Joe Rogan. But what happened to Dr. Paul Saladino when he went on The Doctors or whatever show he was on? They lost their freaking mind.
Yeah.
And if you want to know why Dr. Hampton got a master's in nutrition, it had nothing to do with my need to learn anything. It was just so that in moments of challenge, like Dr. Paul Saladino, who's very smart, when he was in that moment, they can't say I don't know nutrition. I at least spent some time getting a degree in it. So at least I can say I know more than the average doctor. That's literally the only reason I got that degree. Now, the side effect is that I reviewed my biochemistry and I had a chance. So when I'm, talking to smart doctors like Dr. Chafee, I can keep up with them. You know what I mean? Because biochemistry, I'm 57, guys. So imagine learning a subject like that in your 20s and you're supposed to remember all of that stuff. If you don't review it, it's not going to stick. So I just think that we need to bring this to the mainstream so that we're having this conversation like when Dr. Kim Berry and Nisha's baby was featured recently, the baby carnivores, right? Although they're not quite carnivores, they have berries and stuff, which is fine. But at the end of the day, we need that type of conversation to go to the mainstream so that we won't have to be fearful. That Professor Tim Noakes almost went to, they wanted to throw him under the bridge when he suggested that our babies can eat low carb. And others, Gary Fettke, orthopedic surgeon, he almost lost his license. They said, you can't talk about nutrition. So we live in a world where we have to change the narrative. And the media has not served us well. So I'm hoping that this will bring it to the mainstream. Any thoughts on this one, guys?
Yeah, I love this one. I keep saying this should be front page news. This should be front page news. These stories, people reversing MS, and it's in their brain scans, like lesions going away before and after doing carnivore. We were just talking recently about Hal Cranmer, the gentleman that's running the long-term care facilities, putting the patients on keto carnivore and sending them home. The only thing I can say is it should be front page news. It's so sad that some of these stories aren't out there. And there's so many now, so many stories of incredible healing that it's definitely 100% underrepresented.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll move on to number 8. Permission to choose what works. This is kind of my slide. I don't want to be shamed because pigs can't walk by my house. I want to be able to choose the dietary pattern in the good US of A that serves me. Now, if you don't like that because you think I should treat animals differently, you need to spend some time on a farm with people who raise cattle who love their animals. Sometimes the animals even have names. So you can actually, through things like regenerative farming and ethical treatment, still eat animal protein and be fine, particularly if it's going to serve you. And in my case, and I think definitely in Carrie's case, we had stomach problems. Did you have stomach problems too, Adam?
I did not, aside from not being able to breathe while I tied my shoes.
Well, that's a little bit more important than stomach problems. So I just want us to be able to live in a world where when I find a dietary pattern that serves me, I have the permission to do that diet. And that's really all this is about. So what, you guys have any thoughts about this one?
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if I'll be killing pigs that walk past my house, but if that opportunity arises, I may do it.
Well, if you need training in that area, I'll help you out. Okay.
I love it.
All right, let's go to number 7. All right. So low carb therapies heal chronic conditions. And this kind of goes back to metabolic health and Carrie saying that all the good doctors said the same thing. If you achieve metabolic health, all of a sudden diabetes can be put type 2 into remission. And if you're like my wife who has type 1, you can achieve those 5 A1Cs. You can do that because you have a diet that's not having you chase high sugars because you keep eating the wrong food. You can look like this beautiful lady in this image. And she had a before. We don't have an after, but we see the after food. And she was beautiful even before she lost weight. But guess what? Maybe she wasn't healthy on the inside. And I want her to be healthy on the inside so that she can continue to live her life purpose. I think irritable bowel is what I have, and I think it's an autoimmune disease. And you cannot, there's no diet I don't think that's better than carnivore for that. And of course, I have a weight management clinic. And when people go keto or carnivore, the weight just falls off. So I just think that low carb therapies heal a list of things. Now, by the way, just so you know, Nutrition Network has a list of the 50 health conditions, not a list, but the search engine. There's 50 health conditions that get better with keto and carnivorous keto diet. 50. And it's hard to find your condition not on that list. So it just fixes things. It's like that hammer that you can use on everything. What do you guys think about this one?
I agree. I really like this one as well, because that's one of the missions with the documentary. Things like diabetes, autoimmune disorders, from so many of the people I've interviewed, they're often diagnosed and then kind of just told, we don't know, it's just a fluke, it's genetics, you're diabetic, you got this autoimmune disorder. And the only option for many of them is then medication. So at least, and I'm not saying everyone has to do carnivore, but at least if they were to have it as a tool in the toolbox or an option or some hope, versus it almost seems like victim blaming in some places. Like, this is just you're just going to have this diabetes and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's one of the reasons I'm excited about the documentaries, to get the message out to people that in most cases, this isn't a genetic fluke. It's something that you have the power to change.
Yeah. And I want to do a shout out to everybody who's commenting. And again, guys, you can reach more people, help us reach more people if you just comment, like the videos, no matter what platform you're watching it on. Special shout out to another doctor who's going to be in the documentary, the wonderful Dr. Anthony Chafee. He threw out a hello everyone, and I just want to do a shout out to you again, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Barry. Those are the guys that I kind of saw before, because I was teetering on low carb keto, and they were like, Doc, when you gonna join the club? And I was like, you crazy. I'm not doing that animal thing you guys are doing. But they convinced me. And when you meet Dr. Chafee in person, he looks like a statue. So you're like, well, damn, if I can look a little bit like him,
Right.
I'll do anything to look like that. So shout out to him for chiming in. Let's go to the next one. All right. So exposing big food and industry bias. Shout out to Nina Teicholz, Gary Taubes for leading us. Who knew that journalists, not doctors, not, Nina Teicholz a PhD now, but not PhDs, but it was the journalists who have exposed the nonsense that saturated fat is not a big problem. And I was also privileged to be on Beyond Impossible with Vinny Tortorich. And I want to do a shout out to him, because we learned in that documentary that Impossible burger, it looks bloody because they got something called leg hemoglobin in it. And that leg hemoglobin from beets, it sounds good because it's from beets, but they found that in mice, it causes kidney tumors. And yet they continue to move forward, even with that information, to put it in our food. So if anybody's on this call and they think that a ribeye is more harmful than an Impossible burger, an Impossible burger is processed fake food. On what planet does it ever make sense to eat fake food over real food? So don't get it twisted, guys. Corporate influence is a real thing, even in politics. Why do you think politicians make the decisions they make? Because they've been influenced to do that, not by your vote, but by the lobbyists and special interests. So we got to get that out of our culture. And no matter how you feel about Kennedy, one thing that aligns with Kennedy and what I'm saying with this slide is he does understand that there's a lot of corruption in our USDA, etc. So if we have people who align with certain things you believe in, be a policy person like me, align with that particular issue that you agree with, and you can disagree on the issues you don't. But what you don't want to do is put your hands over your eyes and act like we can't do something today, because we can. Yes, we can. So let's go. Well, let me let you guys comment. Any thoughts on this? Because I get a little emotional talking about this one.
It's such a huge part, reason for doing the documentary is exposing big food. Especially for me, I get quite passionate about it when you think about how big food is taking advantage of children, cartoon characters on cereal boxes, getting them hooked early from a younger age. And I just really, really worry about the next generation. It was almost like when I found my healing, I'm like, I'm a grown man now, I just move on. But I was so sick, and I didn't even eat as bad as this next generation is. And a big part of it is big food. And you get kids hooked early from a young age. You have a lifelong consumer. And I don't think history is going to look back on that kindly. So it's definitely something that is important to get the word out about in our documentary.
Absolutely. Let's move on to our next one. Inspiring research and medical curiosity. Now, I'm in a large health system, Advocate Health. And in that large health system, if I don't come with data, they're not going to want to hear anything I have to say. That's why I have to do a shout out to Dr. Eric Westman, who's doing research. One of my good friends in San Diego, Dr. Andrea Salcido, she's a gynecologist doctor. She has the Conscious Gynecologist YouTube channel, and she's doing research. Dr. Tro Kalajian, he's doing research. We need people to do research. In my health system, I'm hoping to start doing research. If we do research because we've been inspired by the documentary, isn't that a good thing? Isn't it a good thing? And then we can talk about, oh, saturated fat's not a problem. Oh, this diet reduces inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause of heart disease and stroke and all these other health conditions, insulin resistance. So, and by the way, we'll do the research to say, for those who question it, oh, animal diets are pretty complete. You have essential proteins and essential fatty acids. Oh, that's why a bear can eat salmon and survive. And guess what? Winnie the Pooh, I don't want to do the honey thing with Winnie the Pooh, because Winnie the Pooh won't survive. He'll have a big belly, but if he only eats honey, he's not going to survive. So we have to remind people, which is why the nutrition education was so helpful. I had to review biochemistry so I could understand how the body works. And so I can stand before my vegetarian professors and say, guess what, doc? You just told me in the class that I only need animal protein. I only need protein and fat to survive. Yet you're insisting on me eating plants. Please explain. When carbs are not essential. You just told me in your own class. Help me understand. And I'll always remember doing so well on my capstone project where I compared low fat to low carb and getting like a perfect score. And the professor was plant-based, and I said low carb was better, and he gave me 100%. So I knew in that moment, at least the science, because when you're in school, you have to take the opinion as about what's true. And in that class, I was able to prove that low carb was better. So I'm really grateful. So what do you guys think about this one?
I love the medical curiosity aspect of it. Especially, like I said, we have 9 doctors and experts in the documentary. And I want other doctors to watch our documentary and say, wait a minute, what does this Dr. Tony Hampton do? He's de-prescribing medication. You don't hear that word too often. People are actually healing. And if you look at millions of doctors that are practicing right now, sadly, most of them, they went in to become a doctor to heal people, but they're not healing people. They're just, because they're not treating the root cause, and they're just handing out medication. So I want that medical curiosity to see, what is this Dr. Hampton doing? What's this Dr. Barry doing? What's this Dr. Chafee doing? That they're actually healing people, and people are saying, you saved my life. Like, that is incredible to be able to spread that and celebrate that and make that front page news so that other doctors become curious and look into doing things and treating the root cause, I think is critically important.
Absolutely. I'll say this: we're gonna go a little faster for the last couple because we do want to have a little time at the end to share the trailer. We'll probably wrap up with the trailer
Sounds
because
good.
I saw you do some other interviews. I know how you roll. so let's go to the next one. So this is probably this speaks probably to you guys' heart because the documentary wasn't about myself, Dr. Chafee, and others. It was about the people. And one of the things I like about having a podcast is that I can help tell stories and share stories. So I really want people to understand that when you watch this documentary, you're going to hear stories of healing. And even and just as an announcement, in the early part of next year, I'll have I'm working on an obesity book, and I decided it's going to be themed after my Protecting Your Nest model. And just like Ovadia, because I heard him say he's got a book coming out too, so that's really a shout out to him. But I'm going to tell stories instead of just writing a academic kind of book. I'm just going to have characters and tell stories, and we're going to share their success while showing you how to reduce your risk for obesity and to heal from that. So I'm really looking forward to that. Any thoughts on this slide, guys?
No, I love it. That's the premise of the entire documentary. It's all about the stories.
That's right. Plant diets equal higher deficiency risk. Now you can argue this and you can say I can supplement I'm a doctor on the front lines like Dr. Eric Westman, and I see it all the time. Some of the most, now I work on the south side of Chicago, and it's very difficult to supplement your way to a healthy plant-based diet. You have to know a lot. So I will do these types of labs that you see on the screen, and I always find deficiencies. So you don't really see that in animal-based diets like you see it in plant-based diets. So I think giving people permission to eat a real animal-based diet is part of what I think why this documentary is important.
Love it.
And then we have animal foods are more bioavailable. So yes, if you are looking for B12, you know the plant-based world would say, well, you can get B12 from dirt, and if you just keep the dirt on the plants, you'll get the B12. But who wants to eat dirty, beets, right? So the reality is that's a ridiculous premise. They think you can just bypass the animal and go straight to the source. We know that's ridiculous. Nobody does that. They all supplement with B12, particularly vegans, DHA, those omega-3s. You can do algae and things like that, but ultimately animal-based, iron, animal-based, it's all better. So if you're on an animal-based diet, you're going to do much better. And finally, shout out to Dr. Kim Berry. He's changing how we talk about stuff, right? The proper human diet is what you're going to find is the diet of a carnivore, because you get the essential amino acids and fatty acids to live. You're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to address insulin resistance and things like that. So at the end of the day, the documentary will give us permission to eat the proper human diet. And you may get courageous like the berries and feed your babies this way. That's going to be an amazing day when that happens, because they're getting what's essential. No baby needs cereal. No baby needs, little pastry toast things that were in a box. They don't need that. They need real food. So I'm just grateful that we had a chance to walk through that, just to give you guys perspective. And I do want to just make a few additional comments as we kind of get towards where we're going to share this trailer. And the most important thing I can say is continue to support the documentary. I have a link on my channel, and I'm sure Carrie and Adam will do the same. Let's share this live stream. Let's buy some merch like this. Let's make a donation if you haven't. Let's support this work, because if we don't do a grassroots effort, we're probably not going to land where we need to land. And I just feel privileged. I have to pinch myself. When you go to these events, people look at you like you're some type of celebrity. But honestly, when I met these guys in person, they were celebrities to me. And I was pinching myself meeting them. And I promise you that's how I felt. So I really am grateful for the opportunity to be in front of you guys. to participate in this project, and God only knows what we're going to do down the road. So we're going to keep spreading this message, keep inspiring people, and keep sharing the stories that continue to inspire us. And I want everybody to know you have the power to change the world, one video, post, conversation, whatever it is at a time. And if you do that every single day and you live your purpose, the world's going to be a better place. So I just thank you guys for the opportunity to let me host this live stream, and as we share this trailer with our audience.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. I love everything you said. I really appreciate you too, Dr. Hampton. The whole presentation, everything, been wonderful, been amazing. And thank you for everything you're doing too, because I don't know how you're doing it. Just the fact that you are deprescribing patients, helping people find a path to healing, and then you're finding the time to do this with me and Adam, and your amazing YouTube channel, which has been incredible, by the way. Anyone watching on my channel, if you're not subscribed to Dr. Hampton, you're missing out. I don't know how you do it, but then I do, because you're carnivore, right?
Right, exactly. That's right.
Could you be doing this if you weren't?
Yeah, well, you just make time for what matters. But yes, if I'm recording a video and I don't have mental clarity, I don't have energy, I'm doing it literally between patients. When I see a gap in the schedule, I say, okay, I got 10 minutes. Let me record something. Now, I'm not editing my own videos, of course, but I know you have those skills. But at the end of the day, it's about, you got to get this message out. I'll impact way more people on YouTube than I will in front of a patient at clinic.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the comments too about the shirts and the donations. Just so everyone knows, 100% of the money from all the merchandise goes right to the documentary, and we are very, very diligent with all the funds. That's another reason it took a while, because we're not just haphazardly spending the funds. So all of the GoFundMe donations as well, 100% of that goes to the documentary. So I'm not sitting here like getting a paycheck and taking money out of it. It all goes towards the documentary. So we're on the home stretch. I'm really excited to finish this thing off. But yeah, as we talked about earlier, this is the more expensive part, the marketing. But I'm really excited about getting the documentary out there, helping a lot of people, and then moving on to the series where we'll have an episode on every major health issue. So if you're going through type 2 diabetes, we'll have a whole episode on that with Dr. Hampton and individuals that have overcome type 2 diabetes, eating a proper human diet. And I think that's going to be even more powerful if you have someone with a certain condition or health issue, to have a whole episode dedicated to each of those. And we've already filmed quite a bit of that, just because we filmed so much. Adam, how much did we film for the documentary?
430 hours, 5,500 clips, 48 individuals, 60 interviews in 4 countries around the world.
Yeah, we're tired.
Yeah,
we're carnivores. We're carnivores. But quite a bit of that, like I said, is allocated to the. We could have a whole episode on depression, a whole episode on cancer, and a whole episode on aging. We just haven't edited it together yet, because all of our focus is 100% on the documentary. But we couldn't be doing it without everyone. So we really appreciate everyone that's purchased merchandise and donated and all of that. So thank you guys so much.
All right. So any closing remarks, Adam, before we wrap up?
I just, again, I want to say thank you to you, Dr. Hampton, and folks that are watching this, understand that, Dr. Hampton, he not only lives this lifestyle, he's bringing you the latest information in regards to this. He's a top quality person. He's somebody that I look up to as far as how to manage my own life and relationships. So he's the whole package, folks. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please make sure that you do that and turn those notifications on, and keep up to date with him, especially on that new book that's coming out, because that sounds really cool.
Should be fun. Yes, thank you so much. So Carrie, you can take it away, and I hope everybody enjoys the trailer.
All right, so here's our new trailer. I'll just say one last thing. This trailer is a little bit different than your typical trailer. We're going to be doing one more trailer when the movie's done. The purpose of this is to show the scope and scale of the project to all of the wonderful people that have donated and supported us. So we tried to fit a lot into one trailer, but there's going to be another one. And if you want to stay up to date, if you go to healinghumanity.movie, you can rewatch this trailer. You could share it with your friends. One of the biggest comments we've been getting is, have you sent this to Maha RFK? And my comment back is yes. But if you guys do that too, that's what's going to get the message out. The more we get the word out, the more it'll help. So if you want to sign up for a free newsletter, watch the trailer, or share it, you can do all that at healinghumanity.movie. And thank you so much, Dr. Hampton. So we'll roll this and we'll end it at the end of this one.
All right.
Here we go.
When I walk into a grocery store and see thousands of items on the shelf, that does not register in my brain as food. And of course it's not. This has never been food to any human being for the entirety of human history.
We've been soaking up the wrong information for so long.
Everything I thought I knew about nutrition turned out to be wrong. And it doesn't take that long to figure it out if you look at the actual science.
Your body, even though you feel like it betrayed you years ago, you actually betrayed it.
I was following the rules and getting sicker for it.
I was hopeless. I was really hopeless, and I thought, yeah, this is the way it's going to be.
I don't think I would have made it. I honestly don't. I mean, I was 69 pounds, almost hooked up to a feeding tube.
I probably had 30 days left until I was dead.
My thought was, I'm going to die, and I'm not going to have a chance to tell everybody that I love them one last time.
That's just more pills and more pills and more pills and more sickness and more disease.
I look at people now on the street and I see them not doing well, and I just wonder what the food that they're eating is doing to them.
We're learning from our past way of eating that somehow we're damaged and diseased.
I want to live in a world where every doctor is not managing disease, but trying to get to the root cause of why people are sick in the first place.
That's what being a doctor's all about, isn't it? Being able to take somebody who's got no hope and give them hope. And it's a real hope. It's a true hope. It's not a false hope. I'm not interested in any other profession.
There you go, right in my face. Perfect.
I just remember being so excited about being alive again.
Changing my diet, absolutely saved my life.
Plain and simple, I would not be here today.
I have my life back.
It was like with a new lens, new eyes, was using them for the first time.
Even though I'm 5.5 years in, I still wake up feeling impressed.
I felt the best I ever felt in my life.
I never thought I'd have a life. I really thought my life was over. And if I hadn't have found this lifestyle, that I would not be sitting here with you today. No way.
I'm 82 years old, which is just a chronological number.
Pull yourself up, you swing your leg over, and you're over.
It's not healthcare, it's sick care. We don't need doctors if we're eating properly. We don't need medication.